So we've got a bit of a break between races now, and luckily I didn't incur any damage to the car at the last race. So I thought I'd take the time to clean my wheels. The brake dust gets really caked on inside the wheels. I'll try and drop a picture in here of one wheel a picture that I took of a wheel before I started to clean it. But this particular one is not that bad. Other wheels had a really hard dust stuck on the inside, really difficult to remove. So I was going to tell you about the solvents I tried using and the result I got when I was trying to clean them, and tell you what worked for me, and then also talk about how I treated the wheels after I cleaned them. So the first thing I did when I started to clean the wheels was I got a piece of paper towel, this stuff, and I just used it dry and cleaned around the wheels to get the loose rubber, the tyre rubber that had stuck all inside the wheels, and any sort of loose dirt, it got that off just by doing a sort of dry rubbing of the inside of the wheels. Then I tried this stuff. It's okay. It'll clean sort of general muck off the wheels, but if you've got really caked on brake dust, it won't move it. So I tried that. I tried isopropyl alcohol, which I seem to try for everything. That didn't have any effect. Engine degreaser had some effect, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But what I ended up using was caustic soda. Horrible stuff. We'll talk about that in a sec, but I'll drop the mix ratio in here in the video to show you how I mixed it. Anyway, I put it in one of these spray things and then sprayed the inside of the wheel, and then used a cloth soaked in the same solution and just kept working it into the wheel. It works. It's still hard work. You still have to use a fair amount of elbow grease, but it does work quite well. And the only thing I would say is you need to be fully clothed, so cover all your skin, all your exposed skin, and obviously wear rubber gloves. I wore ordinary black surgical glove things like I always wear when I'm doing mechanic stuff. The only problem with that was that I pierced a hole in the glove, which I didn't realise, and I started to get a burning sensation on my thumb. And it was the solution was burning my thumb. It's nasty stuff. I also, where I was reaching round the wheel, my overalls pulled back, exposing an area of my wrist, and I had my wrist resting against the side of the wheel, and that got burnt as well. It's not terrifically bad burns, but they're not nice. So, you want to try and avoid that if you can. And also you need goggles. And when you're spraying, wear, some sort of face mask, filter. Yeah, so bit of a mission, but it works well. I knocked up half a litre of that stuff and put it in that bottle, and with the half a litre I was able to do, I think I did 8 wheels with it. So you don't have to use a massive amount of the stuff, but yeah, anyway, it's effective but quite nasty, so just be careful with it. So having got all that off, you still get spots of tar on, from the road if it's been used as a road wheel. And I tried all sorts of things. What I found was the engine degreaser was the most effective of getting rid of those spots. I scraped them with a plastic trim remover tool to sort of loosen them off, and then use the engine degreaser, and that cleans it off completely. The isopropyl alcohol was pretty useless for absolutely everything. It didn't help me at all with any of the things I did. The other problem I had was there were lots of residual patches of glue and glue back foam where the sticky wheel weights had been used, and I had those on several of the wheels. Isopropyl alcohol didn't remove the glue. I then bought some glue and adhesive remover. That didn't touch it. And what I found was that petrol did it. That was the most effective thing I could find to get that sticky stuff off. It's still, you have to let it soak in a bit, and it doesn't completely dissolve it, but it makes it, obviously attacks it quite heavily, and then you'll find it will just rub off in little shreds and little balls of glue. So that was what I've used for that. Okay, so once I got the wheels cleaned, and then, oh, by the way, obviously after using the caustic soda, I thoroughly washed the wheels with a hose, and I actually ended up, if I used anything else like the petrol or the engine degreaser, what I eventually did was gave it a final wash with the Demon Wheel stuff, and then washed it over with water again. So I got to a clean surface. Now the idea behind all of this was to get to a point where the stuff didn't stick so easily to the wheels so that they would wash more easily. And what I read was that silicone spray was a good thing to use. There are lots of other solutions, but silicone spray seemed to be one. I had some WD-40 silicone spray at the time, so I used that on the first four wheels, and it seemed to give it a nice finish. Obviously, I don't know yet whether it's going to make it easier to clean, but I'm fairly confident that's as good as the other one that I bought, which was this stuff, which I saw someone else using on YouTube. And I bought that from eBay. Two of these cans cost £8.99, I think, on eBay. So I've sprayed the last four wheels, because I've got 8 wheels in total, last 4 wheels with that final silicone spray there on the right. The only other thing I wanted to tell you about was last year, when I first got the wheels, I made the stupid mistake of deciding that to get the really black stuff off the inside of the wheels, I would use a Scotch-Brite pad on a drill. Now hopefully you can see that it's actually removed the paint from the inside of the wheel. It's perhaps not that obvious because of all the shading and things, but it's not a good idea to do that. In fact, it's completely the wrong thing to do. Luckily, I only did it with 2 wheels, but they've come up okay, and obviously I've sealed them up with the silicone again, but it's a bit of a shame that I've messed up the paintwork on the inside of the wheels, so don't do that. What I'm interested to know now is this is the state of the wheel after the Oulton Park race. And so I did testing, then I did qualification, and then I did the race. I didn't wash it between any of those. So, and that all happened last Saturday, and today is Tuesday. So what's going to be interesting is, will this stuff just rinse off this brake dust? I had new brake pads on the front, so plenty of opportunity to generate dust. If we look at the rears, they're not quite so bad, probably reasonably, because the brakes don't take such a hammering on the rears. The rear pads were not new. These are quite worn carbon Lorraine pads. Anyway, let's see what happens when I try and wash these wheels. Well, as you saw, I just washed them with plain water. I purposely didn't use any form of cleaner because, I've sprayed them with silicone. I don't want to somehow strip that off of them. And also, I wanted to see just how easy it was to clean them. That just took me about, I don't know, 20 minutes to do both, two wheels, perhaps even less than that. And that is so much quicker than when I used to wash them. And also, obviously, I put in a lot of work to clean them in the first place. So this rear wheel has come up best. Let's have a look at the front. Now, to be fair, this wheel never was as good. For one thing, it's been through the wars a bit. It's been through a gravel trap, and you can see, you can't see probably on the camera, but if you look up close, there's slight pitting on the spokes where I went through the gravel. And also at some point, it seems as though I've dropped it onto a curb because it's got sort of rough edges. Now, the other problem, as you probably saw as I cleaned it, is I've got this black stuff on it, which you can see just there. Now, that is from me nerfing the side of my teammate's car. And I take it this is sort of a top layer of vinyl wrap that's come off onto the wheel. As you can see, I've got it all the way around the edge, so I'm going to have to clean that off with something. Probably just scrape it with, well, I don't know about my thumbnail, but I can probably scrape it with one of those those trim removal tools or something like that. The only other damage I notice is I've got a really sharp nick just there. I reckon that's probably where I nerfed into his car and maybe a wheel stud has caught it or something. Obviously not in that position, it would have been further down, but could be that. I don't know what that is, but something that wasn't there before and something really sharp has caught that. So there is that. But other than that, this has come up really well as well. I mean, as I say, it's not as good as the back, but that was due to the state of the wheels anyway. I would say I'm fairly certain that I sprayed the fronts with this WD. Oh, that's the wrong one. It was a WD-40 silicone spray, and the rears and my spares I sprayed with this stuff, Tectane silicone, which I got off of Amazon. I would say this is better. Judging by how easy it was to clean the wheels, I would go with this one. It's also a lot cheaper than using lots of cans of WD-40. So, highly recommend it to anyone who can be bothered to put in the effort to clean the wheels in the first place.